On the show, understand the polling dynamics and the electoral history of the northeastern state of Tripura after it votes to choose its new government. India is all set to develop model villages along the LAC. We tell you its strategic and commercial significance. Another salvo in the judiciary versus government tussle. Now the RSS weekly Panchjanya says anti-India forces are using the Supreme Court as a tool. And Doomsday Glacier is posing a bigger threat than ever. What happens to the Indian coastal cities? Stay tuned to know more. Well, now the Hindu stronghold northeastern state of Tripura has voted to choose its new government. A lot is at stake in the three-cornered fight, with arch rivals, the Congress and the CPM joining hands to keep the Bharatiya Janata Party at bay. And for the ruling BJP-IPFT alliance, the key test, apart from anti-incumbency, is the challenge from the 2-year-old Tripura Motha party. The die has been cast, and here are the dynamics. In the 60-seat Tripura Assembly, 259 candidates are in the fray, with the BJP fielding 12 women candidates as well. The triangular contest is between the ruling BJP and its alliance with the Indigenous People's Front of Tripura, the Congress and CPM combined, and the Tripura Motha led by Royal Scion Pradyot Kishore Manikya Debarma. The Trinamool Congress is contesting 28 seats, and there are 58 independent candidates. The total electorate in the state being 28,14,584, with equal share of male and female voters. There were 3,337 polling stations in totality. 97 of them were managed by women. Now, the last assembly elections saw the Congress vote share nosedive as the BJP increased its base immensely. The Congress's vote share dropped from 36.5% in the year 2013 to just 1.8% in the year 2018, not being able to win a single constituency. The BJP, on the other hand, made massive gains, with their vote share rising from 1.5% in 2013 to a whopping 43% in the year 2018. In 2018, the Saffron Party, which won 0 seats in the 2013 assembly elections, managed to bag 41 seats in alliance with the IPFT, with the BJP itself bagging 35 out of those 41 seats. And here's a look at the Congress left seat sharing. Arch rivals for 5 decades, the CPM and the Congress this year joined hands following Nitish Kumar and Lalu Prasad's Bihar model to checkmate the Bharatiya Janata Party. The aim is to minimize the division of opposition votes when anti-incumbency is high. And learning from Bengal elections the hard way, instead of forging an alliance, the two parties have gone for seat sharing. CPM has fielded candidates in 43 seats, while the CPI, the Forward Bloc and the RSP contesting on 1 seat each, leaving just 13 seats for the Congress party. Both the parties have extended support to an independent candidate, Purushottam Roy Burman, who is a renowned lawyer and a human rights activist. Now, Tripura, a left bastion for decades, voted the BJP in spectacular fashion in the 2018 assembly. The left front governed Tripura from 1978 to 1988 and then again from 1993 to 2018, with Manik Sarkar being the last left front chief minister. Now, unlike most northeastern states, Tripura is a Hindu stronghold, with about 83% Hindus and 1/3 of the population being tribal. There are 19 different tribal communities in the state, and there are 20 seats reserved for scheduled tribes out of the 60 assembly seats, thus making a political party's performance a lot dependent on them. Now let's take a look at the language factor in the state as well. Bengali is the most widely spoken language here with 64%, followed by Tripuri with 26%, Chakma speakers are nearly 2%, Hindi speakers constitute 2%, and Moog speakers are few and constitute just about 1% of the total population. And the person to watch out for this election is Pradyot Debarma. His political life began with the Congress before he quit the party in 2019 and formed his own party, the Tripura Motha Party. Now, with the polls done and dusted, the jury is out on whether the Saffron Party will get another chance to rule the northeastern state of Tripura, or will a new sun rise on the state's horizon. Moving on. Amid the ongoing standoff with China, India has taken major step towards upgrading infrastructure along its northern border. The Union Cabinet has recently approved Rs 4,800 crores to develop border areas close to China. The allocation is made under Centre's Vibrant Villages program that will cover about 19 districts and 46 border blocks, situated in states like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim and Ladakh. Well, now it must be noted that this particular scheme will not overlap with the Border Area Development Program. And out of the total allocation of 4,800 crore rupees, a sum of 2,500 crore rupees will be used for roads alone. 663 villages will be taken up in the first phase. Now, the scheme is meant for people who often get left out from the developmental gains. The government says that the quality of life of people living in these border villages will improve. It will also reverse the out-migration, adding to improved security. Job opportunities will be created to curb migration of the local population. And besides these, the scheme will also encourage tourism in these border villages. It must be noted that over the years, increased Chinese actions along the Himalayan border have become a concern. China has built several border villages to strengthen its territorial claim. But with the rollout of the recent Vibrant Village scheme and the induction of 9,000 more ITBP troops along the border, it is certainly a stern warning to China. Next up, anti-India forces are using the Supreme Court as a quote-unquote tool to take advantage of our democracy. Well, that's what a recent editorial published in the RSS mouthpiece Panchajanya has said. The views put forth in the opinion piece have added a new layer to the tussle seen in the recent months between the centre and the judiciary. Saying that it was meant to protect and safeguard the interests of the nation, the edit criticizes India's highest court of law for issuing a notice to the Bharatiya Janata Party government. That notice, which had sought the centre's response over pleas challenging its decision to block the recent BBC documentary on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Hitesh Shankar, editor of the RSS Weekly, writes, and I quote, "The Supreme Court belongs to India, which is run by taxes paid by Indians. Its job is to function according to the legislations and the laws made for India. Now, we have created a facility named the Supreme Court and maintained it in the interest of the country, but it is being used as a tool in the efforts of those opposed to India to clear their way." Now, seeing how the RSS is essentially the BJP's ideological mentor, the comment has amplified the ongoing standoff between the judiciary and the executive. The BJP government has primarily taken an exception with the way judges are appointed by the judiciary. It wants a nominee to have a seat at the table. This way, the government gets to have a say on who gets to become a judge. But under the prevailing system, judges are appointed through a peer selection process. Now, the independence of judicial systems in a democracy like India is critical to preserve balance. In the case of Israel, for instance, many see the Netanyahu government's push to promote judicial reforms as a ploy to weaken the country's legal system. But at home, such a possibility could potentially compromise the kind of federal democratic republic envisioned in the constitution of our country. Next up, new data from an international underwater expedition using a robot has come up with some startling revelations. Thwaites Glacier, nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier in Antarctica, is under threat, and there are chances of it collapsing sooner than expected. It is one of the most critical glaciers, and its potential collapse could trigger a significant rise in sea level. The research also suggests warm water is seeping into its weak spots, worsening the melting caused by rising temperatures. For India, a rise in sea level means calamity. Assessing immediate impact, experts say this could lead to some properties and road networks being submerged in Mumbai, Kochi, Mangalore, Chennai, Visakhapatnam and Thiruvananthapuram, and that too in the next 30 years.
Under any scenario, countries like Bangladesh, China, India and the Netherlands are all at risk. The danger is especially acute for nearly 900 million people who live in coastal zones at low elevations, and that's 1 out of 10 people on Earth.
Well, now, Thwaites Glacier is one of the fastest changing glaciers in Antarctica. The point where it meets the seafloor has retreated 14 kilometers since the late 1990s. Much of the ice sheet is below sea level and susceptible to rapid, irreversible ice loss that could raise global sea level by over half a meter within centuries. For countries like India, the time has arrived that long-term plans start taking shape. Steps such as land reclamation, increasing road heights and relocation of buildings, or strengthening them against damage are a few things that the authorities can begin with. And on that note, It's the end of another edition of Top Angle. Do check out incisive news analysis and cutting-edge documentaries streaming only on News 9 Plus. Thanks for watching.